You are still watching Breakfast Central, and it's time to take you to the world of sport. A weekend of sizzling action in the world of sport, but let's start up from the world of tennis. Fifth seed Onjabor from Tunisia produced another gutsy display to rid the US Open last 16 with a three-set win over Maria Boskova, and that took almost 3 hours. Onjabor was last year's runners-up. She won 5-7, 7-6, 7-5, 6-3 at Arthur Ashe Stadium against Czech 31st seed Boskova, who was hampered by a thigh injury. Tunisia's Onjabor has been struggling with illness in New York, but that did not deter her in that competition. Jabor's next match, as she hunts for the first major title, will be against Chinese 23rd seed Zheng Qigan. Moving away from that, a situation where less is paid and more is expected. Jose Peseiro will continue as coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria despite agreeing to a pay cut, the Nigerian Football Federation announced on Sunday. The Nigerian Football Federation said in a statement that the 63-year-old will now lead Nigeria to the African Cup of Nations after his initial one-year contract ran out in July. His initial contract paid him $70,000 a month. But it is understood that the new agreement will have his monthly pay at $50,000 after the Federation said they could no longer afford that previous salary. The coach has been given the target of leading the Super Eagles to at least the semi-final of the African Cup of Nations to be hosted by Ivory Coast in January. How will that be realistic? That's the question in the hearts of many. But talking about executing that game against Sao Tome and Principe, the Nigerian Football Federation released a strong squad for that upcoming final fixture of the 2024 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Sao Tome and Principe. Gent star Orban and Bayer Leverkusen star boy Victor Boniface are some of the new invites for the Nigerian the 2023 African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Sao Tome and Principe next week. Three-time African champions Nigeria will look to end the AFCON qualifiers on high when they welcome Sao Tome at the Uyo Stadium. Ahead of that tie, the Nigerian Football Federation has invited 23 players to camp, excluding Ahmed Musa in that list. Nigeria have already qualified for the tournament in Ivory Coast with 12 points after 5 games. Moving away from that to the Ligue 1, Morocco's Achraf Hakimi has registered his first goal of the 2023-2024 season of the French Ligue 1 in a 4-1 win against Lyon on Sunday. France superstar Kylian Mbappe's brace secured a 4-1 victory for Paris Saint-Germain and ensured the Parisians they stay unbeaten in the Ligue 1. Mbappe's 4-minute penalty kick started an electric first half, where Laurent Blanc's side went 4-0 up in the first half. Achraf Hakimi and Marco Asensio both scored excellently, breaking away goals before Mbappe's exquisite chip secured that win for Paris Saint-Germain. And now let's take you to the EPL. Arsenal scored 2 late goals to record a 3-1 comeback win over Manchester United in the English Premier League. That encounter on Sunday, Declan Rice, their £100 million record signing, and Gabriel Jesus scored the breakthrough goals in the injury time after Martin Odegaard had earlier cancelled out Marcus Rashford's lead for Everton side. The unbeaten Gunners are up to 5th with their 3rd win in 4 matches, while Manchester United, they suffered their 2nd loss of the campaign. Earlier in the day, Liverpool scored twice. Liverpool, they scored twice in the first half to secure a dominant 3-0 win over Aston Villa through Mohamed Salah, Dominic Szoboszlai and Marty Cash on goal. While Crystal Palace, they end their 2nd victory at the Premier League season with a 3-2 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers at the Selhurst Park. What away, 2 goals from Hudson Edward and Iberici Eze. That sublime finish saw off a stubborn Wolverhampton Wanderers side. Now let's take you now to the Formula 1, where Max Verstappen did something wonderful in the weekend on Sunday, the Italian Grand Prix, when he finished in pole position, taking the day. It is a record-breaking 10th consecutive win, with Sergio Perez taking 2nd and Ferrari's Carlos Sainz holding 4th in Monza. Verstappen's Italian Grand Prix victory broke the all-time record for most consecutive Formula 1 wins, while Red Bull also set a new record for the most team wins in a row with 15 wins in a row. And while delighted to make for the Grand Prix race in history, the Dutch Max Verstappen had not been focused on defeat, so he was not a flop. He takes the day in the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. And there you have it, Sport Update at this time. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. Back to Osa and Olive.
Thanks very much for coming and sharing that very, very heartbreaking.
You should thank me better. You should thank me better. I think you guys are missing a player like Paul Pogba, and you're having serious problem in the back room.
Back room, front room, everywhere. We're having problems everywhere.
It's been a really dicey time for Manchester United.
Yeah, it's been a. I don't want to say horrible, but it's been a very, very poor start to the season. Our front, the strikers aren't doing so well. Rashford basically is. I mean,
and
I think
your
he's just been lucky.
Goalkeeper is
the goalkeeper is being.
He's a choreographer.
Anyway, I'm just going to keep laughing at this point. I don't want Manchester.
So are we blaming the players? We say the players are not prepared enough, because we've seen some other matches where it almost looks like it's like they're catching crews, like they were saying.
I think there is a large part. I don't think there's enough discipline in Manchester United. Yeah,
you remember Jadon Sancho has just come up with a reply, but I'm wondering, who is Jadon Sancho? If Eric Ten Hag can take out a player like Cristiano Ronaldo, come on, who is Jadon Sancho?
Okay, we don't have enough time to get into the depth of this conversation. Thank you, Ian, for joining us.
You're welcome.